Well, welcome to Rob's Career Gems. This is a continuation of the discussion that Andy and I had the week prior, and there was some unfinished business in that conversation. We didn't get to probably everything that would benefit you and that we probably feel would be important advice to share for career professionals that are much younger than us, can maybe not make the same mistakes or waste as much time as we have. So, we're going to talk today as a starting point about firsts. Anytime our career is growing, there's a first time that you were entrusted with that big account or that big project or something that had high visibility, high stakes, high impact. So, as we talk about firsts, I'm going to give the floor to Andy to maybe ask him about a moment in his career where he felt terrified. He was giving something very large, something maybe that he thought was beyond himself. Who gave you the chance, Andy, and what were the circumstances that led to you being the guy that was suddenly in charge of doing that?
Yeah, actually, I could give you a couple different examples because I think there are
Yeah.
two in our conversations earlier too. Like, I think there are two main ways to gain firsts. One is someone uplifts you and says, "Hey, I think you're ready for this," or I'm going to put you in this situation. And other times, you're jumping in to fill a gap, or you're volunteering to do something
Oh,
or to handle. And I have examples for both because the true first for me in my career, from just being in many ways in my mind of being just a worker bee to being a manager and a leader, was way back when I was a IT consulting at AMS, and to this day I still remember being tapped to lead this fairly large high profile project to redo the Medicare.gov website at the time. And this is going back way back when websites were still relatively new in the world. And also at the time, the concept of a Medicare.gov website was many people kind of found funny because it was, wait, you're telling me that old people go to the web? Um, and it was interesting because we had gotten this project. They were starting to form a team, and I kind of got plucked from folks that to be like, hey, we want you to be the project manager for this project, and shepherd it. And me and the more senior person, helped put together the initial team and got to run it. And it was probably the best almost 2 years of my life. Like,
wow.
like there was an existing website that we ended up scrapping and rebuilding it from scratch. Um, and it was a great client team, and just like overall it was just such an amazing experience. But in some ways, like, I never would have gotten if I wasn't plucked to be like, hey, we're going to put you in charge of it.
So it
And
was a
granted,
senior sponsor
it was a
that
senior sponsor that felt that I
saw an
was.
opportunity for you and
Yep.
and knew that you were the right guy to staple yourself to that challenge.
Exactly. And
Interesting.
that was, and yeah, and if and if I'm being critical, or not critical, but just like honest, like I had been working my way up, like, at that point. And it
Yeah.
wasn't just me too. There was like several others around the same range that all got plucked for different projects around the same time. But and I just got the opportunity for this one, and it just really gave me an opportunity to just take it and run. And it's been one of the foundational managing experiences that I've had.
Did you
But
have
then
moments of terror? Like were you up to
all the
this?
time.
And
Oh, all the
and
time. Like,
okay.
all the time. I mean, in some ways, and I, I've discovered as I'm in my career is I sometimes will chase the terror.
Oh, interesting.
Um, in the sense that I want to push myself to do different things, and so when I say I push the terror, is that, like, I'm just gonna go and do it, like, and try to shut down the voice in the back of my head going, "What are you doing? Well, you shouldn't be doing that. That's crazy."
All right.
Um, and like some other examples where I've had opportunities, like in first, like, speaking at a conference for the first time, getting up in front of a large auditorium of people, and just start addressing people. Uh, Folks that have known me for a very long time, I have a tendency to be very shy and introverted, or have been growing up. And most of my extrovertedness now and my outgoingness now has been taught or learned from me just literally throwing myself out there and saying, all right, this is against the grain of how I have been, but I really want to do this. I want to try this and do it. and getting up front, and whether it's like it's generally mostly tech conferences, but like being able to get up front and like present on a topic and talk through an audience, and to really like focus and practice on it so that I'm not just reading off a script and doing it. And a lot of it is just basically watching other people get up there and do their keynotes and all that, and realizing
Okay.
it's really, in my head, trying to realize like, okay, maybe it isn't that hard. Like it is hard. It's not taking anything away, but like
Yeah.
not hard in the sense I actually can do this. I can practice this. I can focus on this. I can, engage the audience because I know what it feels like when someone's boring versus like as an audience member, I know when someone's being boring versus
Okay.
when someone's being engaging. And I can do those engaging things. And the other realization I always had was like these people don't know me. Like in the sense like what I'm presenting is what I'm presenting, and that's what they're going to react to. So let me just,
Do your
make
thing.
do my just let me just do my thing, and they don't know what baggage I'm carrying in the back of my head or the voices that are, that are telling me that I shouldn't be up here or anything else. So that would be my other example where like I'm
Yeah.
jumping in and I say chasing my terror. But what
Well,
about
I
you?
like the fact that you've made that a life practice. So
Yeah,
you've spoken at conferences. It was terrifying. You maybe didn't feel like it went entirely well, or it was, awkward, or, you're working through the process, but you continue to do that, it sounds like, pretty
yeah,
intentionally, to say, I'm going to go into situations where I'm uncomfortable with the implicit confidence that you have expect to figure it out or expect to be successful. And I think that's a really healthy career attitude. I think too many people probably get paralyzed by fear or
yep,
overthink it or undersell themselves. One of the best coaching moments I ever had was a boss that said, Rob, you so undersell yourself. You just go
yeah,
out and do this stuff and don't double take it or overthink it. Just go do it. And I think it's nice to have people who are giving you advice and counsel like that
yeah,
to get out of your own way. And I think
yep,
that's what stood in the way of a lot of my firsts. As I look back on my career, I think I got in my own way more than obstacles got in my way or people got in my way.
right.
Yeah.
Well, what are your examples? What was your first, like the first time you've like sort of did a podcast or did a coaching experience or whatever? What was your first?
Yeah. So the first real coaching experience I had, which was really kind of, well, I would say external coaching. Let's differentiate internal coaching from external coaching. So I did a lot of coaching internally with my teams at PeopleSoft, at
Right.
EMC. When I was laid off from EMC, suddenly I had to rethink my career and my job. And so I was going through an outplacement service like so many people in the Great Recession that got laid off from their
Yeah.
jobs. And what was interesting is as I was going through that, I got to know a lot of members of the project staff. This was with Right Management. They're a subsidiary of Manpower Inc. And
Mhm.
so I got to know a lot of the staff, and they said, "Well, Rob, you actually have quite a few skills. You could be a part of our team, like join as a part-time staff member, consulting and doing career coaching." And I'm like, yeah, but wouldn't that be weird if I was career coaching people and I'm going through
Right.
outplacement services myself? And they leveled with me and they said, yeah, that would be kind of weird, but you're still good at it, so you should do it. And so and so I got hired on to Right Management while I was still finishing up my own outplacement service and
Right.
started helping others. And the interesting thing about that is although I was concerned about my job and the job market was not very good, the economy
Right.
was in shambles. It somehow made that easier for me to navigate by serving others. And so my first time externally coaching and consulting was in a part-time gig while I was getting my outplacement services. And it actually fueled a passion for career development within me. Like I found I had a knack for it and really could see a lot of potential in people that they couldn't see in themselves. I said, I want to leverage that skill for the rest of my life. And it really shaped all the work I did after that. So I eventually got hired within 7 months on
Right.
Visa as an internal consultant. It was a talent management consultant internal to that organization to build their career programs after their initial public offering. And I
Right.
really think it was that first experience cutting my teeth, working in right management, and really getting a sense for what a good career looks like or what it should look like and all the elements that allowed me to be successful in that job.
Hmm.
And although I was uncomfortable, in both of those jobs, I grew into them. And it's like you said, you can suddenly become an expert faster than you realize with the right focus and the right people around you. And I
Yeah.
felt like I had that in both of those environments.
Yeah.
So
If you have the right mentor or the right person to like bounce these things off of, it really helps to bring it all out and makes that first so much easier and it helps you refine it too.
yeah,
Because
so
it's,
so for those who don't
yeah,
have a coach, and I would say either a life coach, a business coach, clergy member, someone that you trust and can have perspective, get a
right.
coach. Because I
Yeah.
think it was when I was started being very intentional about seeking out coaching and mentoring, both formally and informally. That's when my career really started to take off.
Yeah.
Up until a certain point, it had been haphazard by the grace of those leaders that realized I needed one. And so
Yeah.
they would pitch in and coach me, not and I didn't know that I really needed that, and it was so valuable. And I think by being intentional about that and knowing that none of us have all the answers and that we could seek coaching and mentoring, it's a very conscious decision that will put you into a position where you'll have lots of first time experiences that will
Yeah.
bring growth.
And the other one too that when you as you were describing that too that I think has been very helpful has been just the like being able to take compliments and like positive reinforcement well and actually absorbing it because
Yeah.
I don't know if you had this, but I like a lot of times, especially earlier in my career, I'll deflect if someone's like, "Oh, Andy, you did a really great job." I'll be like, "Oh yeah, but," and
But it was the team, but it was the team.
well, not even, or I'll outline like I'll go into like nitpicky detail, like, "Oh, I was stuttering in the beginning, and then I didn't make eye contact," or "Oh, it went great," like, "Oh, the rollout went great, but yeah, but this," and like instead of like taking the compliment or taking like
Mm,
that like I just immediately start deflecting and that and I in many ways because I just felt more comfortable doing that. Like it just felt more embarrassing to be like, oh, and then I've come to learn like just say pause, say thank you. Right? Like if
yeah.
someone's saying like you did a great job. But then also like reflect because you oftentimes people will tell you you did a great job because A, B, C and let that reflect because that helps you realize that the first aren't as scary as you thought it was, right? Because
Right.
you immediately I think a lot of people gravitate to all the things that it could go wrong or they think went wrong that were either imperceptible or not that big of a deal to anyone else, and they're like, you knocked it out of the park, you did this, and that's the stuff that you need to listen to and lean into for next time, like that gives you the confidence to be like, here's my second, here's my third, as you build off of that. And
Wow,
that
that,
and
that
that's
that's
been
that's a
something for me.
keen insight. I like your
Yeah.
insight there. I also
Thanks.
like the fact that false modesty does you no favors in careers.
Right.
If people are noticing a skill or a strength that you have, you can be humble about it, but grateful. You can
Right.
thank them for giving you that feedback. And that's something you can file away for future problems and opportunities and say, okay, I know where some of my strengths are. I can intentionally start to use those and turn those into superpowers. And
Yeah.
it was only through coaching that I got wind of a lot of my strengths. People are
Yeah.
notoriously bad at seeing the good in themselves and seeing, the things that they do really well. Others can
Yeah.
have greater visibility and can provide us greater insight, which is why coaching is so helpful.
Right.
Likewise, we don't always see our vulnerabilities or our blind spots.
True.
So
Absolutely.
we need both kinds. And I like what you said there, though, Andy, that we need to get better at accepting genuine kudos for
Right.
skills that we have. And we don't need to deflect those. We can acknowledge those and say, yeah, I'm still, like, for example, am I a coach? Yeah, I've been coaching for many years, but do I consider myself a master, a coaching master? Not by any shot of the imagination. I'm still in my journey toward mastery, right?
Right.
But I have become proficient at it. And I think when you get to certain levels where you are, own it and use that to bless the lives of other people.
Right.
Okay, Andy, here's another thing that we can maybe end on a crescendo for this session.
Okay.
We've all gotten career advices,
Yeah.
various segments of career advice down through the ages. What were some of the most important pieces of career advice that you got from peers, from leaders along the way, from mentors?
I think one of the biggest ones, and I and I can't necessarily point it to any single individual or individual turning point, but I feel like I've gotten it from a number of people over the years. It's like stop with the analysis paralysis, stop with the overthinking, and just start doing it. Like get sometimes good enough is good enough for your prep, and you're just going to need to jump in and do it. And at a certain point, you're not prepping anymore. You're just stalling, and you just need to commit and start moving forward. And that's been
Wow.
huge
Well, you know
to get
what?
things
Yeah,
started. Yeah,
that actually takes the pressure off you when you give yourself permission to have the experience. Because
right,
sometimes we expect perfection too soon. Like, and so
right,
that's keeping me from having the experience. But I think sometimes it's much better, like you said, to roll into the experience. And it's not going to be perfect, but you're going to learn a lot and you're going to break the ice for better learning and better opportunities because you had the courage to do it.
yeah,
That's incredible. Very akin to one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from one of my business coaches, and it was when I was debating going into consulting, opening my own
mhm,
consulting practice, and I thought I had to have the website and all this strategy and all these things figured out, and he gave me some awesome advice. He said, a lot of people think you have to be clear to get started.
right,
You actually have to get started to get clear. And it was like,
yeah.
whoa,
That's good.
like mind blowing. And from that point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go buy my domain. Okay, I'm going to start talking to some people that I know I've worked with in the past that might be clients. And it started the whole process because it kind of got me out of my own head, thinking I had to have all this clarity and all this strategy and vision figured out and got me moving. And then I
Right.
did get clear, and by virtue of the experience, it got better, and I got there faster, I think, than I would have trying to stay in that vacuum forever.
Yeah.
So we both learned that, an action-oriented career is good to a point. We have to be prepared. You have to be eyes wide open, and we need others along the way to coach, guide, mentor, and support. And I think the principle that I hope we both are committed to going forward is paying it forward.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast. It's like if I could save people time from learning the hard lessons that took years for me to learn, I would love to give that gift and save you some time. And
Yeah.
you have more runway left in your career to have greater impact. So, Andy, what would you say as far as the going forward advice to those who are listening in on this session?
I mean, I think you just capped it right there. I think it's really just listening to like when someone's giving you sincere feedback and advice, like take it in and listen to it. I think sometimes people just sort of like yes, 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 and don't really pause to reflect upon it. Like if I in some ways, like if I could talk to myself from like 20 years ago and stuff, I mean that may be part of it too, is just
Okay.
like, like stop, listen, think, and enjoy the journey, right? Like it's not the when things are bad, that's not the end point. And it just work it through. You'll get there.
Just work it. Yeah, I think we're going to end on that note. It's kind of hard to beat. That's the most salient advice I think we could possibly have in this session. So, Andy, thank you for your time and for sharing your insights on career management. We're all a work in progress, and
Yep.
like you said, I think enjoy the journey and let's work it. Till
Yeah.
next time, take care, everybody.
Thanks, Rob.